Driven by the concept of the metaverse, the virtual digital human market is rapidly heating up. From virtual singer Luo Tanyi, to digital virtual idol Lu Yexi, to virtual idol group A Soul, various virtual digital people frequently appear in the public eye. Recently, Beijing also officially released the industrial plan of the digital human. But with the landing of virtual digital people, more problems need to be solved. In particular, the ethical issues faced in it need to be discussed in more depth. The most typical controversy surrounding digital people dates back to November 2020, when the virtual idol group A Soul was jointly created by Lahua Entertainment and ByteDance. This group has almost become the top stream of domestic virtual idol groups in just a year or so after its debut. Station B has achieved the achievement of 10,000 ships and hit a peak of 12 million in the live broadcast room of Station B. But some time ago, various crises broke out one after another around this virtual idol group. Team members were opened one after another, and member Jala announced permanent dormancy and terminated the contract with the company. As the members opened the box and were picked up by fans, they complained on social media that their work had been under high pressure for a long time, and generated 2 million for the company every month, and the monthly salary was only 10,000 yuan, the commission for gifts worth 198 is only 60 cents, and other issues of unfair treatment caused the incident to continue to ferment, and become a hot search on Weibo. Judging from various questions and doubts on the internet, there are at least 3 points worthy of subsequent reflection and discussion. The locomotive of value creation. First, who created the traffic and revenue brought by virtual idols, and whether the relevant creators receive fair treatment and remuneration. This is also one of the most concerned issues in this event. At present, the virtual idol industry is still in the initial stage of development, and the related technologies are yet to mature. Most of the virtual idols currently active in the public eye are still driven by real people, also known as people in the middle, that is, they need to rely on motion capture. Technology presents virtual effects. In simple terms, there are 3 main value creators or investors in the virtual idol industry. One is the R&D investment in the early stage of technology, art, and modeling, which generates a 2D or 3D virtual image, a pair of leather jackets. The second is to plan the investment and support for the packaging, operation and related resources of virtual idols. The third is the performance investment of people in the middle according to the role settings under the holster. Although these 3 links are indispensable, they are all necessary inputs to promote the realization of the value of virtual idols, but the inclination of value incentives for different links or whether the value distribution is fair or not will ultimately affect the overall size of the industry. In other words, in order to make the entire virtual idol industry have a longer-term development, and at the same time to further expand the market, it is first necessary to establish a reasonable, that is, fair and efficient, value incentive and distribution mechanism in the industry. The premise of deciding whether this mechanism is reasonable is that the author believes that it is necessary to find the locomotive of value creation, just like to make a train have more capacity, market plate, not only to increase the number of carriages, resource-based input, and the locomotive, capital-based input, must be given enough horsepower, value incentive, to pull and drive each carriage to work together, value realization. If the right locomotive is found but the horsepower is insufficient, the train will not be able to carry more capacity and the forward speed will be slowed down. Similarly, if the locomotive is not found or the wrong locomotive is found, the train will not be able to run even if sufficient horsepower is given. So for the virtual idol industry, who is the locomotive of value creation among the 3 main bodies of research and development, planning and people in the middle? The author believes that it is a group of people in the middle who inject personality and soul into the holster of the virtual image. From the standpoint of fans don't just value this good-looking 2-dimensional skin for their favorite virtual idols for consumption or live broadcast, but also for the interaction and interpretation of virtual idols, including voice, demeanor, personality, and talent. The identification and liking of the overall and unique characteristics formed by many aspects such as conversation and so on. This is different from the idols created by traditional film and television. Although virtual idols also need to use some existing character settings, most of the successful characters are created by real people under the skin in the real interaction with the audience. This creative process makes the value of the two-dimensional virtual idol form a strong dependence on its people in it, and it is difficult to look at it completely independently. That is to say, in theory, the people in the middle under the skin are the direct creators of the fan bonus and the locomotive of the virtual idol economy. The size of the fans attracted by them directly determines the value realization of all other resource inputs. Just like the A-Soul Jala incident, the termination of the contract of Song Shirin directly caused the passive dormancy of virtual idols, both for the company and the fans of Jala, which brought greater economic and spiritual benefits. Losses, whether in the early stage of technology research and development or planning and operation, these resource-based investments are all in vain. Then, once the locomotive has been identified, the value incentive for the people in the middle should not stop at cost expenditures, that is, the relationship between the people in the middle and the company is regarded as an ordinary labor relationship. As an ordinary worker, Song Shirin only gets a fixed salary plus a certain percentage of commission income. Instead, it is more reasonable to distribute profits based on the company's capital expenditures according to a certain cooperative relationship. Binding commercial profits to the self-interest of the people in the middle is actually to regard virtual idols as the unity of skin and flesh, affirming the value of the role creation of people in the middle, not just a dispensable skin set of people. At the same time, R&D and planning are positioned as resource-based investment. Train carriages, efficient resource investment, on the one hand, can create a better performance stage for virtual idols and push virtual idols to a wider public view. On the other hand, the flow of fans attracted by virtual idols can be converted more efficiently, so as to realize the final flow of cash. The author believes that only with such positioning and rules can we talk about the value distribution of the entire industry, and make the overall virtual idol market bigger and bigger. The next step in commercialization. In addition, from the perspective of enterprises, how to prevent the dormancy or negative impact of virtual idols caused by the people in the middle factor. In this incident, although the company encountered the fire of public opinion, it is undeniable that the passive dormancy of virtual idols has also caused certain losses to the company, and it is also a waste of social resources. Judging from the A-Soul incident, virtual idols, like real idols, also have the risk of collapse. As mentioned above, the people in the middle is the direct creator of the fan bonus. In the minds of fans, the virtual idol and the people in the middle are an interdependent whole. Therefore, the improper words and deeds of Song Shirin or human factors are very likely to bring certain negative effects to the virtual idol IP and IP operators or cause irreparable losses, which are limited to a passive situation. From the various cases that have occurred so far, the possible risks caused by the people in the middle factor can be classified into three situations. One is similar to the A-Soul incident due to the early termination of the contract by the people in the middle, resulting in the operation of virtual idols being suspended. Forced stagnation. Second, the people in the middle caused crisis events due to improper words and deeds in the live broadcast interaction. For example, in September 2020, the inappropriate remarks made by the Japanese Hololive member Song Shirin in the live broadcast caused Hololive to basically lose the Chinese market, and the Japanese virtual idol Rushia accidentally exposed his Song Shirin in the name of Rushia during the live broadcast. The record of information with a suspected boyfriend was considered by fans that Rushia violated the single character design, and was suspected of fraud, because the person set Rushia not only to attract a large number of otaku fans but also as a major selling point of peripheral products, 3 is after the real identity of the man of the middle was disclosed, the virtual idol operation was negatively affected due to the deviation of the character set or his own words and deeds. For example, a series of personal settings collapsed after the exposure of the man of the middle of Japan's Fuba Kagura Mayor. The information caused a large number of fans to lose their fans collectively. Therefore, for virtual idol IP operators, effective risk control methods are essential. If value incentives are the horsepower of sustainable industrial development, then risk control is the foundation and guarantee for sustainable industrial development. In view of the above 3 situations, the formulation of corresponding legal contract clauses can play a necessary role in preventing related risks. The author is not a legal professional and cannot give specific legal suggestions, but the above situation is actually similar to the risks encountered by the real idol industry, or can be used as a reference for the terms. In addition, the author believes that in addition to the hard constraints of legal terms, operators can also take some prior measures to implement soft constraints. For example, the above-mentioned direct binding of the interests of people in China to corporate profits also acts as an invisible constraint on the behavior of people in China to a certain extent, and the behavior of people in China is regarded as the composition of the virtual idol IP. Another example, similar to the real idol market, maximizing the company's resource investment, diversifying risks by continuously cultivating and launching new virtual idols from the old, and reducing the negative impact of negative events on the company's operations. Force. The last point is also based on the extension of the A-Soul incident. The author believes that the contradiction between people-oriented and commercial interests in the virtual idol industry actually reflects the future development trend of the metaverse, and there may exist in the process of fusion between virtual and reality. Conflict and friction. The perfect virtual world that can be freely created is not a place outside the law, and the integration and development between the imperfect real world, which is constrained by morality and law, requires us to continue through industrial practice and social experimentation. To measure and bridge the gap between technological development and social ethics. When promoting new technologies and products, we should not only focus on the short-term interests of economic development, but also take into account the fairness and efficiency of long-term economic development, and guide technologies and products to magnify the goodness of human nature to promote sustainable economic and social development.